Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tom Baker Show. It is great to be back with you on PowerTube TV. As you can see, we are not in the usual studio setting. We are on location at the Batesville Civic Center in Batesville, Mississippi, where over the next couple of days, the 34th annual O'Reilly Auto Parts National Indoor Kart Championship is going to take place right on this indoor dirt track behind me. Joining me for this special episode to really look at and talk about the world's largest indoor kart race is the race's coordinator, Scotty Reed, a former racer in the event himself. And also Hayden Benson is with me. Hayden, also a former racer, and Hayden is going to be my co-announcer for the event. We thought that we would take some time and tell you a little bit about this event because there is simply nothing else like it in karting. And I'm going to start with Scotty. Scotty, you go back. Do you go back to the very beginning with this event?
Pretty close, yeah. As far as racing it, and the first few years or whatever of it, I was actually a participant in the race, and then as I got older, I realized that I didn't want to get broke up, and so then we moved up. We actually moved up to sprint cars for a few years, and then I came back and we started doing the marketing side of it and trying to put the show together and keep it growing every single year.
So you went from basically racing in the event to helping to assemble the event. Which is harder, to win a slot or to put this thing together?
They're both pretty tough, but I can tell you this side of it's real tough. It's just a lot of moving pieces for an event this size. I mean, when you're talking about naturally a one-off event that you do every Thanksgiving, and as you said, the 34th annual, but it's the moving parts with the facility and having a nice facility like this, and then from what we're doing right now on the parking, and but then just the pre-race stuff as far as getting people here and building the excitement of it, and trying to do everything we can to take care of the racers the best we can, for they want to come back and make it more than just a race. It's an event, because a lot of times I was just talking to some guys in the pits, and the only time they see each other is this event every year.
It definitely is a very interesting event for sure. And Hayden, I know that you have raced in the event a couple of different times, actually several years, and your dad raced in it. Tell us a little bit about that connection.
Yeah, so my first time coming to the event was back in 2010, and back when they had the 20,000 to win race, and we come up here in an RV, me and my dad, just to watch. This is my first time really remembering the event, being able to remembering being in here and watching that. And then so my first time racing the event was 2015. I actually podiumed my first time here, which was, when you podium in this building, it's one of the coolest things in the world. So, and then took a couple of years off after that, come up here just to watch, and then had the opportunity to race here with Ash Racing the last 3 or 4 years. So, this event's like none other, and it's always top of the bucket list during the year, and this is something I look forward to for 365 days of the year.
Well, it definitely is an event that is unique on the calendar in karting. Scotty, what does it take to put on an event of this scale?
Well, there's a lot of moving pieces, as we talked before. I mean, a lot of people don't realize. I mean, we've got 50 plus employees here on the grounds this weekend. The bringing the dirt in, and Shane and his crew putting the track in and getting it right, and the safer barriers. A lot of I'd like to say that we're one of the first events of indoor that we don't use hay bales. There's no hay bales in this arena. Yeah. It's all safer barriers. So that part of it, and it's the tents, it's the moving of everything here to get everything set up, and then honestly, just the super employees that we have that from the pit gate to the parking crew to the registration. We feed every one of our employees 3 meals a day while they're here. There's food all the time for everybody, and again that again we keep talking about what it a lot of people get the headlining, but we work hard to get corporate sponsorship. I've spent the last 5 years of trying to bring more people into this event that are a corporate brand that may not be just karting people. I want the kart companies to be a part of our event, but I want to go to another level, and having O'Reilly Auto Parts as our title sponsor, and bringing on Z-Max and bringing on Tubatow, and this year adding Victory Fuel and Kevin Swindell and his group as a big part, which Kevin was a participant here.
Sure was.
And for him to give back, that's the kind of things that you do to build this thing and make it bigger.
Kevin was not only a participant, Hayden, he won a lot of races here.
Yes, he won. He won quite a few in the early 2000s.
Yeah, he was. This is kind of how Kevin grew up, racing these dirt karts, and went on to obviously a great career in a number of different types of cars before he got hurt. And even his father, Sammy, World of Outlaws legend Sammy, raced here one time. And I think
Donnie Schatz recently.
Mm-hmm. Yep, Donnie. Yep, we've had a number of different competitors who have gone on to bigger and better things. Ben Rhodes, two-time NASCAR Craftsman Series truck champion. Ty Majeski, the current truck champion, just won the truck championship this year. Ty raced here for several years. AJ Foyt the fourth, Craig Kinzer. We've had a bunch that have gone on to other things. You can even talk about
guys that are on the national tour with the dirt late models, like Frank Heckenest. He's raced here as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Or maybe let's don't forget maybe the 2 or 3 time Daytona champion, 500 champion Ricky Stenhouse.
That's
yes.
right.
Okay,
yeah.
so,
many years ago, Ricky was.
And I mean, and believe it or not, a lot of people don't realize this, but like Ricky and Kevin raced. They're roughly the same age, and I mean, there were some head-to-head battles there with those guys, and so. I mean, it's been unbelievable, and the talent that we have here now in the field. I mean, it's remarkable to walk through that pit area and to see the kind of talent level that's here that we bring in from the East Coast and from South Dakota, North Dakota, Minnesota, Florida, Texas. Big following from Texas this year. All come to Batesville, Mississippi for the Thanksgiving holidays to win a slot machine.
Yeah, it's really it's a gathering from across the country. We've had racers from Canada in the past that have been here. I mean, 1,300 to 1,500 entries a year.
Yes. Yep.
I mean, you talk about talent, and just the sheer amount of talent. Like here, I mean, you look at the bigger, like the clone medium, clone heavy, elite stuff. I mean, you have 40, 50 entries in the class, and you go to a local race or a race during the weekend on the year, 35 of the 40 entries can win a race anywhere on any given weekend.
Yeah, it's amazing to see the growth of this event from when it started, which was way back in the day, 1991, I think, at the Memphis Fairgrounds. What do you remember about the earlier days, Scotty?
Well, and so that a lot of people don't realize is that we raced there, and it was we raced every 2 weeks, and then the first nationals there at the old fairgrounds building, the roof just leaked like crazy. So I mean, like here, we get some rain and it affects us and everything, but when it rained there, it really did affect us. I mean, it was the racetrack had drops on it, and it was wet, and but Lanier and he just kept pushing on and I've heard different numbers, but I mean, I think the first one was somewhere around 120 entries.
Okay. Respectable.
And it was more of a regional type thing, more than anything. And but now, to build it to, we was talking to somebody the other day, and I said, never dreamed when I raced go-karts, we went all over the country running the WKA for a trophy.
Yeah.
And would pull, Maynard, and Amelia, Virginia, and from here to run for a trophy. And now to have this event that has 11 classes that pay $3,400 to win. And then several classes $1,000 to win, and our regular classes pay $500 to win.
Yeah.
And when did we ever think that a regular class would pay $500 to win?
Well, you talk about the $3,400 now. I want to talk a little bit about the transition from 2019 to 20, and you not only did you nearly double the entries from a little over 800 to over 1,500, but you also upped the payout from 25 to 3,000, or 2,500 to 3,000. Yeah, yep. And then Not only that, but you added 7 more elite classes to 10, and now it's 11. What went into the decision-making process of upping the purse in 2020?
It was just so the whole thing was about we sat down and started talking about we're when you do a karting event you're going to have ups and downs. I mean there's been 3 races on Thanksgiving, 3 major races on Thanksgiving for a long time, and so there was 2 for a long time, and it was Carnesville and us, and what's happened is we don't have basically a local support track
right.
per se. There's some nice things around, but back in the day when we were at Tunica, we had 5 racetracks that were in a radius and everybody came to run Tunica.
Right.
Everybody, okay, at every level. Well, now we don't have that. We don't really have that. We got a Toka in it, but it doesn't run a lot. And I'm not talking bad, but their numbers are low here.
Yes.
And so we had to get creative. I mean, and so what we have to realize is that we're competing against a show at Carnesville and now Paradise, and they're great shows, been around a long time. We have to do something to attract them.
Yes.
To want to come over here, because we know if we get them over here, and we put on a good show and we try to do things the right way, they're going to enjoy it. And they also know that you look, and I mean, I think you got Chase coming on next, and what you understand when you talk to these kart shops, they spend a lot of money to prepare tires, to prepare to come to Batesville.
Yes.
And so what they know when they prepare the tires to come to Batesville, they're going to race. No matter what the weatherman says, we're going to race. So when they get Chase's tires ready and they put in all that effort and all that work, he's going to ride those tires, or some semblance of them. Okay. Yep. And so, but we also needed to make it worth their while. And so we came up with the guaranteed money for the elites, and just felt like that would be something that would get it sparked here.
Yes.
And then when the entries went way up, we kind of had the theme of keep it by the year. And so we've done that every year. So every year we increase them by 1. The slot machine is what it is. I mean, there's guys that still want to come here. I mean, and there's been guys that have slot machines, but they come here to get another one. It's a big deal, and that's what we're trying to create, because I mean it's kind of like I use the Chili Bowl and midgets. The money is not very good in Chili Bowl. Okay, right. I mean it's just not it, but it's the biggest midget race of the year, and it's because they want that driller.
They want the golden driller.
They want the driller, and Kyle Larson, when he won the driller, the level of excitement that he had for that driller was probably as much or more than it was when he won the championship.
Right,
exactly.
I mean, so, and we've got guys in those pit area out there that been coming here a lot of years, dreaming about winning our slot machine, and so we've built it back to that. So is what we're trying to do.
I mean, like you said, the Chili Bowl, they have the driller, the sprint cars, they have the Knoxville Nationals, the late models, they have the World, the Dream, whatever, and us kart racers, we have Batesville, we have the slot machine. That's what our ultimate goal is during the year, and that's what everybody shoots for.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is when you think about the transition of this race from Memphis to Tunica and then now to Batesville, where we've been since 2008, 3 entirely different tracks, 3 entirely different situations, but the commonality from Tunica forward has been that bronze slot. That is the coveted trophy, and that's why everybody comes here.
It is, and I think you always have to. We meet every year. You have to adapt. It may not be major changes, but you have to do changes. And because along the time period of that, when we made the change to the elite, we also came up with a couple classes, what we call the NEFs.
Yes.
And
no entry fee.
And no entry fee, and it gives guys that are non-pros a chance not only to win a class, but that's a slot machine class.
Right.
Okay, and what we figured out is that class is just as tough. Okay, for that level, very competitive guys, but it gives them a chance to go race against guys that are very serious about it, but take some of what we call the pro guys out of it, and they get a chance to win a slot machine. So that was another big change.
For sure. Okay, we are going to step aside here. Again, we are coming to you from the Batesville Civic Center in Batesville, Mississippi, the site of the 34th Annual O'Reilly Auto Parts National Indoor Kart Championship. We will be right back. For over 50 years, FHS Superior Synthetic Oil has powered high-performance engines with unbeatable protection and speed. Whether it's drag racing, go-karts, sprint cars, stock cars, or your daily driver, FHS stands for high speed and delivers every time. Their advanced synthetic oils boost your engine's responsiveness, acceleration, and efficiency, giving you the winning edge on every lap. Visit FHSoil.com today to find the right products for your engine. FHSoil.com.
Attention track and series owners, elevate your fan experience with the TrackTune app. TrackTune works with your PA system. Fans and teams at the track can hear the announcers through their phones, ensuring everyone hears race calls, sponsor plugs, and more during race nights. It's simple to set up, affordable, and free for fans to download and enjoy. Visit tracktune.live for all the details and join tracks nationwide on the app today.
Welcome back to the show here on PowerTube TV. Of course, this show powered by TrackTune, and you'll hear and see a lot more about TrackTune through the show. We are at the Batesville Civic Center, where the 34th annual O'Reilly Auto Parts National Indoor Kart Championship is taking place. We're recording this, of course, on Thanksgiving weekend, and Scotty Reed has gone to do his job. He'll be back in a bit, but if he can. But we've got Chase Meredith with us now on the program, and Chase is a 19-year-old racer from Jacksonville, Florida, who is here to compete once again. You started here in 2019, right?
Yes, sir.
So
we got the call from Charger Racing Chassis that they couldn't make it, and they offered their parking spots to us and said they'd give us a little bit of insight, and we came over here and won the first race of the weekend. So I just love this place and look forward to coming back every year.
You didn't take long to win the first race. That's pretty amazing for somebody coming in. That is not something you see a lot of, somebody winning a slot in their first time here. What was your secret to your early success here?
Honestly, it's just you get to know a bunch of people all over the United States racing. And I hooked up with Nathan Lynch and Bryce Hobbs on the racetrack.
Oh, those two know what they're doing.
We kind of agreed to push each other, and us three went from 7th, 8th, and 9th all the way up to, I think, 1st, 3rd, and 4th. So I ended up coming out on top, and I owe it, half of it to them at least, especially Nathan. He pushed me to about 2 to go until we started dicing up for the lead.
Wow. Yeah, that's, I mean, Hayden, you've run enough of these races, and you know how hard it is to win one. Yeah. You know, an early success like that and the way that Chase was able to do that working with other drivers, that's a big key in these indoor dirt tracks, is to be able to get, you wouldn't think drafting would make any difference, but when you get 2 or 3 together and you're pushing each other, it really helps you get away.
Well, yeah, the aggression in this building is like none other, and when you can have 2 or 3, you know, and you're on the same, you know, you're on the same mind level or whatever, and, you know, you get together and you're like, hey, you know, don't do this, don't do that, don't hit me there, you know, and just go together. And then once you get up to 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, you know, you can battle it out from there. But, yeah, that's really what you need in this building, because, you know, it's hard to get up there and it's hard to stay up front.
Yeah, it really is. So from year to year, Chase, I mean, almost from night to night, sometimes this track changes, but from year to year, it's different. Mm-hmm. So talk a little bit about how do you come here with any kind of real game plan? Because obviously you won't see the track until you show up to the building.
Yeah, I feel like this is kind of the one race a year. It's kind of an equalizer, kind of like Daytona as well, because nobody races there the whole year. You know, we just take down notes. We write down gear, air pressure, all that, and every time we go out, don't matter if we run 16th or 1st, you know, so you know what works and what doesn't. Prep doesn't really change unless the track gets really fast, like last year. And we struggled last year because it got fast. So since 2019, it's the first time it was really smooth and really fast, and it threw us for a curveball. But we just come back with our same notebook every year, and we got a couple of different sets of tires in the trailer this year, and we're going to try it.
Now, we've seen you, you know, you get as animated as anybody when you win, right? You know, you've won here 4 times. You know, we've seen you go down the backstretch, you know, or past the line, you're pumping your fist, whatever. You go down the backstretch, you slide through the infield, whatever. And not only do you have 4 wins, but you're also first on the list in 2020 with 18 top 5s. What is the magnitude of winning a slot machine, and what does it mean to you?
Oh, I mean, it means the world to me. You know, we traveled 12 hours, come all the way over here, and we like to just hope we're going to podium.
Yep.
But, I mean, a win here is like kind of winning the Daytona 500 for us, you know. Like you said, when I won the 3,000 that first year, I did a donut down the back straightaway. And when it did the donut and just pointed to the crowd, even know half the people, you know. So it was I just pointed and I got off and everybody hugged me. And it's a feeling that I come back every year to chase.
Yeah.
What's more important to you, the money or the slot?
Oh, the slot by far. That's I've won quite a few trophies over these 8 years of racing, and I got those set up in my room special with the checks right in front of them and all that, just because you cannot beat a slot machine.
Yeah, and I said with Scotty on here, you know, like the Chili Bowl has, or the midgets have the Chili Bowl, you know, the sprint cars have the Knoxville Nationals, you know, we have Batesville and we have the slot machine, and for us racers, there's nothing more gratifying than being able to win a slot machine.
Oh, absolutely. And what's also more gratifying, I mean, I get excited when I win here, obviously, but seeing the junior drivers excel as well, being able to give them pointers throughout the day to make sure that they hit their line where they need to. Maybe the track's moved up or down. You got to be on the berm. Maybe you don't have to be, you know. So I also like helping to make sure that they exceed as well, because everybody puts a lot of time, effort, and money into this.
What is kind of for you the thing? Is it the slot that keeps you coming back? Just more slots? What is it about this race? Because we have more, you know, just kind of regular returnees every year than I think any other race I've seen. What is it about this race that just keeps you coming back here year after year?
It's a mix between two things. One is definitely the slot, and two is the friendships. You know, you talk to your buddies online throughout the whole year, and you finally get to meet up and see them. Like Dale Ward, he's 30 minutes up the road. I don't get to see him much. I met him through iRacing, matter of fact, and we met up here one year in 2019. So it's just cool to be able to see all my buddies, and you get at least 3 days of hanging out with them.
Was Dale the one that was responsible for bringing you here in the first place?
He had talked about it, and I looked it up on YouTube and thought it was cool, but it was ultimately just Charger calling and saying they couldn't make it.
Okay.
Well, Dale was the one that picked you up on the backstretch when you won the elite class, huh?
Yeah, did a donut, and I told him if I went out there and won the race, because I was starting pole, I said if I win the race, I want you to be the first person down there in Victory Lane, and he went down there and just picked me up off the ground with a huge hug, and I was like, this is cool.
Yeah.
So, all right, so I think a lot of our audience understands, obviously, you know, what the basics of dirt go-karting is. But the one thing I think that probably a lot of people don't really understand is the prep, because that's not something that's in every form of racing. And it's probably bigger in karting on the dirt side of things than anywhere else. What is the key, the secret? I mean, talk a little bit about that, because there's so many different types of prep and different applications for the prep. What is it about that for you?
One thing is just set up in the go-kart more than anything. You know, this place is so tight. You know, we move hubs and put completely different numbers in the go-kart than we would throughout the whole year, just to get it to handle around these tight corners. Gearing's a big thing, because a lot of stop-and-go action, kind of. So that, and then, but you know, tires is ultimately going to be the biggest thing about go-kart racing. We got, I think, 15 sets of tires in the trailer with 5 drivers out of our camp. So we started working on them about 2 months ago, and some of them we had all year. You know, we just threw in the trailer just in case we need them. So it's a lot, but ultimately in the end, if you can come out here and win a big race, it's all worth it.
Well, and again, it's this. There are a lot of kart races that are one tire races. So either all Maxxis or all Burris or whatever the brand. This is an open tire race. Yeah. You can run any tires you want. How confusing does it get when you're trying different brands of tires? You're running different. How does the prep change? How do you know what to run on what day?
I think it was the first year I was here, matter of fact. Don't know if y'all remember Devin Morgan beat all of us on Vega tires. Yep. So the next year we brought some Vegas, just because you can look at the track and see that it's slimy or wet, and the more dried out it gets, obviously you wouldn't need that tire anymore. So, but yeah, it rained like I think every day that year, and Devin threw on a set of Vegas and made us all look stupid out there, So it's hard to pick and choose. I'm glad I'm not the tire man on that part, but
It's a hard job.
Very hard
Very
job.
hard
I've said that
job.
multiple times to TJ. It's just I'm glad I'm not in your position, dude. So it's hard.
There's a lot that goes into it. Those guys, they'll be out in the garage for 5-6 hours a day leading up to it. Sizing tires up, prepping tires, rolling tires, whatever it is.
I get off at 4 o'clock every day, and usually go home, grab a few drinks and a snack, and I'm over at the go-kart shop till 8-9 o'clock. So a lot of time and effort put in.
And it's hardly ever anything on the you spend like an hour actually on the cart, and then everything else is on the tires. And me and Elliot, my teammate, the past couple of years, leading up to Batesville for about a month, we'll be out in the garage for about 5 hours, getting everything ready.
That's crazy. I don't think people understand that. People say, well, it's a go-kart. How much to it could there be? But that's the point we're trying to make here, is that just like any other form of racing, it's about setup, and the tires on the go-kart are probably the biggest piece, and it takes a lot of hours trying to figure all this out. You almost have to be part chemist.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lot of notebooks and a lot of notes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the notebooks we have, every single driver has one, and everything from the second practice on gets written down. So it's we got probably 6 or 7 notebooks in the trailer full.
One of the questions that we get every year is about how the track actually becomes a racetrack. And the truth is that of course, this is the Batesville Civic Center. There's not dirt on the floor all the time. It gets brought in for events like ours. Ours is the largest event that the arena holds every year. And Shane James and his staff bring the dirt in, form the track. All the barriers you see are brought in. Everything is imported, basically, and the dirt obviously stays on the grounds here at the Civic Center. Everything else comes from Memphis, Tennessee, which is home base for Jam Promotions, which puts this show on. But it's really quite a process. It takes about a week to put the track in here, and there is not a single go-kart on it until practice starts on Friday morning at 8 o'clock. And Hayden, I know, it's for a racer. Nobody wants to be the first one out, just like nobody wants to be the first couple on the dance floor. But yet, it's the only way you work the track in.
Right. I mean, when you go out there and you start practice, like no one wants to go out there just because there's not much to learn other than just seeing if your engine's running. And the track's not going to be anywhere near what it's going to be for qualifying. And so in kart racing, you have a problem. We have a problem with getting people out there. But once the track gets going, and once people go out there and open practice gets through, and then you run through the round of practice and then qualifying, and then the track changes a lot. And Chase can elaborate on this a little bit, like with the berms and where you're racing and the line and getting in and off, and if you need to be on the berm, if you don't need to be on the berm, and how hard the track gets and everything. It changes a lot throughout the weekend.
Yeah, how you were saying that we struggle to get people on the track to run the track in. I'm guilty as charged as that. We go out there and we need a surface to scuff our tires in, especially our new tires, so we can get more prep into them. So I'm one of those that if they have like an all-kart rolling, I'm the last guy out there, or I don't even go out for the first 1 or 2 practices, especially with me running 10 classes this weekend. I got plenty of chances to get on the racetrack.
Okay, so another big piece of this event in particular is qualifying. And this year, it's even more intense because we are going from 2 rounds of qualifying, where we would take the fastest 10 out of each round to put them into the 20 kart starting lineup for each of the 22 features on that night. This year, 1 round. We take 20 karts out of 1 round. This is the first time Chase is hearing this, but
it is.
one round. Not all the racers, I don't think, know about this, but 1 round of qualifying, and it is just going to make it even more intense. Chase, you've been here for 5-6 years now. Even with 2 rounds, you only take 10 out of each round,
Mm-hmm.
so it comes down sometimes to a thousandth of a second. Now you got 1 shot at it. Okay, but you get obviously the whole 20 coming out of the. What is it like for you going out for qualifying? Because it's intense from where I'm sitting.
It's nerve-wracking, especially with the concrete wall in the background. You're absolutely sending it from the first lap to the last, so you hope you just don't hit a patch of sand and slide and hit the wall. But on top of that, I did not know we were only doing one round of qualifying.
One round.
Yeah. But I
You're
will
welcome.
say, I appreciate that, but I will say I agree with it.
Breaking news.
I will say I agree with it because I've been on both ends of the spectrum, like qualified right outside the top 10 in the first round. We go out again, and I'm like 32nd in the second. So I do agree.
And we'll be back with more of the show right after this.
Attention track and series owners, elevate your fan experience with the TrackTune app. TrackTune works with your PA system. Fans and teams at the track can hear the announcers through their phones, ensuring everyone hears race calls, sponsor plugs, and more during race nights. It's simple to set up, affordable, and free for fans to download and enjoy. Visit tracktune.live for all the details and join tracks nationwide on the app today.
Welcome back to the Tom Baker Show here on PowerTube TV, a very special episode of the show. We are coming to you from the Batesville Civic Center in Batesville, Mississippi. The world's largest indoor kart race will take place right here on this track behind us, the 34th annual O'Reilly Auto Parts National Indoor Kart Championship. Tom Baker, along with Chase Meredith and Hayden Benson, and we were talking about the qualifying format here. And again, it is, when you talk about knockout qualifying, it is super knockout qualifying here. One round, just a few laps, is going to determine the starting lineup for each of our 22 features each day, 44 classes altogether. How, Chase, do you ever begin to prepare for qualifying? Even when we were doing 2 rounds and taking 10, how do you prepare for that? I know these tracks change all throughout the day, but you run a bunch of classes. Does that help you to sort of track the track, if you will, and try to keep progress with what the track's doing? How do you do this?
Yeah, I say how I'm on the track at least for 5 qualifying a day, 10 in total. It definitely helps to keep up with it. There's one class each day at least that I go out. There's a class in between us, and I go right back out again. So definitely helps us because we can watch it on Race Monitor and see, if I qualify top 5, we know to use that set of tires again. Just take them off, wash them real quick, prep them, and go again. But it's always hard for this place, especially because it can flip in a second. It can go from slick and you need a beat-up tire on low air pressure to next time you go out, it's really fast. You need higher air. So you never know what you're going to get, really.
Yeah, it really is incredible, Hayden, to watch qualifying. You've watched it from the driver's seat for a number of years. What's it like for you going out? I mean, it just, for me, is one of the coolest parts. I almost enjoy qualifying as much as the racing.
Well, it's never good because I'm usually never past 30th. So, I don't know. And this year it's gonna be interesting because you have the guys that, some of like the guys that are more regional guys that are gonna struggle a little bit more, but they've got to be on top of their game earlier in the day, and this doesn't give you the opportunity where the first round of qualifying is more of a learning experience. It's more of now it's hey, I've got to be on it now to get into the top 20. And but yeah, for me it's always been nerve-wracking because I'm always either on the bubble or way past it. So it's always been nerve-wracking for me.
Yeah, that brings up another thing too. Is you talk about being on it earlier in the day. Even I see so many times where drivers want to wait until the end of a qualifying session to go out, right? But group qualifying changes that a little bit because you have to go out with your group. Talk a little bit about why it matters if you're going out in the beginning or in the end of a qualifying round for your class.
Yeah, going out later, track's hot because usually they'll have a 5-10 minute break if they're not rolling through everything. So if you're in the first, second group out, track's going to be a little slick. There could be some sand left from the last class that was on the track. So I always try to go out later and behind people that have already had good runs in the day, so you don't catch a slower kart. So you just get a good group around you, and nobody's going to spin out, hit the wall, and drag sand into the groove, and then it screws your qualifying. So it's a very pick and choose battle here.
Yeah, it's really kind of an interesting kart qualifying for me is interesting anyway, because again, you wouldn't think it would matter so much. You just get in and go out and run qualifying, but there is a lot to think about when you're qualifying for one of these races, and now with only one round, I mean, it's even more intense.
Yeah, and what it's going to do is it's going to allow us to have more time in between. And like Chase, like the guys that are running 5 classes, 6 classes, 7 classes a day, and not only that, but they have 3 or 4 karts in the tent. It allows those guys to have more time to prepare, and it gives you more time in between classes. But also, because 18 of the 22 classes roughly are going to have a second round. And that takes away like 2-3 hours of the day. It's going to allow us to get out of here a little earlier. Nobody likes getting out at 1 o'clock in the morning, especially when you have to be up at 6 o'clock the next morning.
Yeah.
So it's going to allow us to have more time that night and maybe go to Mexican joint or bar or whatever you want to do.
Yeah, of course, over 21 if you're
Right.
going to be drinking. So that discounts both of you. Yeah, but that is true, actually, and that's one of the reasons why the one round this year instead of 2 is just simply to put more time back in the day so that we can slow it down just a little bit, but at the same time also get the features started earlier and hopefully give everybody more time at the end of the day to, just to kind of take a breath and get ready for day 2, because it can get pretty intense, and there's 22 feature events to run over the course of the day. Now, between qualifying and features, what are you concerned with, Chase? I mean, obviously, there tends to be an hour maybe or so, maybe 90 minutes at most between qualifying and a feature. Track may cool off a little bit, but generally not a ton. What are you concerned with?
I'm concerned with just how they do track prep. If they go out there and just water the crap out of the track, that would change our game plan up, especially when you find something late in qualifying. You're like, we know what we need, and then they change the track up on you, and it just sucks, So concerned with that, and I'm also concerned with how my teammates are going to do, because they kind of tell me what to expect when I'm on the racetrack. If they're loose entering turn 3 and I'm 2 classes later, I'm basically know I'm already going to have to drive it a little more lenient on entry, because if not, I'm going to be spun out over there in the wall. So I just like to make sure that they're nice and stuck to their racetrack, so when I go out there, I have a good feeling when I get in the cart and can go out there and just send it.
How many karts are you racing this weekend?
I got 2 separate carts. One will just be all the light and medium classes, and
Okay.
then the second one is just for the heavy.
So you're basically dividing the carts up by weight, which makes it easier, obviously, so you're not having to put weight on, take weight off to go out for one class or another.
Yeah, when you're a heavier guy like me, Clone Light is definitely not in your variety for the whole year until you come here. So I definitely can't make Clone lightweight, but I can make Clone medium, so we just run everything at medium weight.
It's quite the opposite for me. I have, this is no lie. Last year, I ran both of the Predator classes, and it was both heavyweight and 375. So I had 22 pieces of lead on my seat.
Wow.
I haven't seen that since I was probably in, I don't know, probably 12.
Yeah.
Well, you're only just over 100 pounds, right?
Yeah. Well,
110,
you see the electric cart stands in there. I've always wanted one, because picking that cart up is it's crazy. It's so heavy.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I mean, so on the set here, we basically have a lightweight, we have a heavyweight, we have sumo. That's kind of how that works. But speaking of that, how much does the handling of a cart change when you go from, light to heavy, and you have to add, I mean, obviously it depends on the driver weight, because that's how it's differentiated. But say for you, between light and heavy, what's different?
It's just the I don't know, the heavy go-kart, it feels like it's way more on the track, at 375, but then when you take 50 pounds off of it, and you go out there and you're just They're not 50 pounds. Wow, that's a little dramatic. 20-some pounds off when we got there. And
He's probably adding.
He's probably taking
pounds.
50 and all off. But when you got there in the go kart, wants to slide around a little bit. Not as much left side in the go kart, so don't want to turn as much. So you got to rely on the brake a little there. But the light go kart, light and medium, I would say, it's kind of out of the racetrack, and you got to drive the absolute crap out of it. Heavy, it gets down in the track, plants to right front, and you kind of secure.
Interesting. Okay, so it really does make a difference with the cut course, no suspension on a go-kart. So, it tends to be a bit of a bumpy ride when the track starts getting some character, which usually happens, late Friday night into Saturday a little bit, I feel like. How do you work with that from the standpoint of changing the kart over from Friday to Saturday when the track's been worked in? Maybe you've got a little bit of character here and there. How do you deal with that from one day to the next?
You better have a strong back. No, and
disqualifies me.
Yeah, I don't know. When the track gets rough, it's mainly. The setup can change, but it's a lot with the tire pressure when that happens, and it just depends on how deep the holes are, where they are on the racetrack, and a lot of it's just the driving. When you're going through a massive hole, most of the time you don't really, depending on where it is on the racetrack, you usually don't want to be on the throttle right where it is because the tires will spin and bad things happen then. But the worst part about holes is being in a champ kart. And I think that's the main reason why you only see like 10 of them now, because they're so rough on your back. And but after Batesville, in any indoor race, you'll have it anywhere. But you'll go home with bruises on your sides and your knees from hitting the Colin Farron, and your body takes a very big toll here.
Yeah, there's nothing better for a kart racer than if you're a kart racer, especially on dirt, you're looking at ideas for sponsorship. A good place to start, a chiropractor.
Yes.
Yes.
Definitely a chiropractor or a sports massage.
Yes, especially after
whatever.
Thanksgiving weekend, for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely, and it is a rough and tumble sport. Talk a little bit about, from a driving style standpoint. I honestly think Batesville kind of sometimes gets unfairly name checked. It's not that we want to create the bump and runs and all of the things that happen. We don't want to see any of that as officials, but it's just part of bull ring racing indoors. How do you mentally prepare differently for this than you would for the outdoor races you run pretty much all year long?
Every experienced racer, when we come to indoor tracks, they're just going to say, well, sorry, that's indoor racing, and I 100% get it. I've been on both sides of it. The bump and run, I'm usually a pretty clean driver, and you kind of got to up your aggression level when you come here, because if you don't wreck somebody, they're going to wreck you, type of thing. So got to qualify up front and stay out of that mess, really, because from mid-pack on back is when that's really going to happen, because I got wrecked for 18th last year. So
wow.
So yeah. So
17th here means a lot.
Yeah, it really does. Big money, But no, it's just your aggression level has to be to a point where you're willing to move somebody, but not to the point where you want to hurt somebody at that point.
Well, and I think it feels like there's a right and a wrong time and a right and a wrong way to move them too. I think there's a difference between, as my old colleague Bobby Waltrip used to say, rooting them out of the rooting and gouging, okay, and just blasting somebody out of the way, which, we see that in a lot of short track racing anymore. It feels like the bumper is almost a first option rather than trying to pass them clean. But there really is a fine line here, because you can, if you do it wrong, you can actually push them ahead of you and slow yourself down.
Yeah, and there's like you said, there's a fine line, and in this building you have to be aggressive. You just look at the size of it. Like, half the racetrack's in this small camera shot. It's very small, it's very tight, and you have to be aggressive. It gets to a certain point, but Chase can elaborate a little bit, like, just on how aggressive you need to be.
Yeah, especially when somebody maybe has a better go-kart than you under green flag, if you get a long run going, and it comes down to it, either you boot them out the way and win a slot machine, or you finish second. So done that before, where I was running third, and the first and second, they end up tied up in the wall or something. I inherit the lead, or when I won Pro Medium here. The leader was wrecked, and it kind of second place came back to me for that little moment, and I knew what he would do to me if I was leading, so I made sure I got rid of him and took the lead. So you just kind of watch how everybody's driving, you kind of drive them the same.
And earlier we talked about like the magnitude of winning a slot machine and stuff, but when you're out there, you don't. No one ever wants to give up a spot, because if you give up a spot, you're getting freight trained and you're gone.
Well, the other big point here is that this is a small track. You're running 9 or 10 second laps. So 20 laps, if there's no yellows, 20 laps goes by in a heartbeat. If you're starting 18th, you got to go. There is no saving the cart or managing equipment. It is just get to the front as fast as you can, and it really makes the racing pretty wild and crazy throughout the course of the evening. We'll be back with more right after this.
Attention track and series owners, elevate your fan experience with the TrackTune app. TrackTune works with your PA system. Fans and teams at the track can hear the announcers through their phones, ensuring everyone hears race calls, sponsor plugs, and more during race nights. It's simple to set up, affordable, and free for fans to download and enjoy. Visit tracktune.live for all the details and join tracks nationwide on the app today.
Welcome back to the Tom Baker Show. It has been fun doing this show from the Batesville Civic Center. This is my 24th year on the mic. Hayden is going to be joining me for the first time, giving up the driver's suit in favor of a microphone, which will be probably far less physically demanding.
A lot more comfortable.
I would imagine. Yeah, a lot more comfortable. And Chase Meredith continues to be with us. Both Hayden and Chase have been racers here, and Chase has a slot machine trophy. Hayden is still looking for his, so maybe at some point we can get you back on the track. And
maybe Chase will let me have his seat this weekend.
But first of all, I want to point out that you mentioned something in the first segment of this show that I want to make sure that we let the fans know. We were talking about the transition from 2019 to 2020. And this race, of course, has been here at Batesville since 2008. So we went from 2019 to 2020, and 2020 was the COVID year. Yeah. And it was a year in which a lot of racing simply didn't happen, or if it happened, there was no crowd in the grandstand. Everything was, about separation and all of that. Not only did this event run in 2020, but we had the biggest entry number ever. We broke the record for entries in
1504.
1504, 2020, during the COVID year. And so I want to ask the two of you as racers, that was a really, really tough year, obviously, for everyone across the world. But I'll start with you, Hayden. As a racer at that point, how did that change for you and change your whole experience in 2020 with everything that was going on versus past years?
I mean, yeah, COVID year, we didn't get to race all that much, of course. And I think once November come around, we all probably had 15 races that we had ran that year, which is not a whole lot. And
what's typical?
Oh, man. Chase, how many of you ran this year?
I probably only missed about, 5 weekends of racing so far this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, for me, feature-wise, I'll probably run – I don't race all that often, so 60 to 70 entries – or 60 to 70 features a year. But, COVID year, we didn't race all that much during the year, and when it come around, all of us, we were just ready to get out there, right? And for me, in Ash Racing, that was my first year with them, and we all caught COVID on the Monday before Thanksgiving. And we didn't end up making it, and so we had to watch on pit row. But man, we were really excited to come for that.
Yeah, and see that I think that's sort of the real key to this is that not only, and it took I can tell you from kind of being a part of the officials team, it took just a tremendous effort and a lot of kind of compromising and just different things to make this show happen that year. And we were so fortunate. Chase, you were here, and this would have been year 2 for you here. So what was that weekend like for you?
Like he was elaborating on, like we were all just hungry to get out here. It was kind of a devastating year. My team, we were leading a lot of state championships back home and in the big series, and they ended up canceling like 3 races in. And we, like he said, we only raced a handful of races all year, and we hadn't had the best runs that we wanted. So when we came here, I was just like real hungry to get on the track, and I think I ended up winning like 1 or 2 races, and that kind of made our year. You know, it's huge to win here, and COVID I thought was going to cancel it, and I was going to be really upset, but I'm glad it didn't.
But it ended up coming back and being the biggest and biggest ever.
I mean, you know, again, and I think that's a testament not only to Jam Promotions, the organizers of the event, but also the Batesville Civic Center, all of the sort of municipality folks that allowed us and worked things out the way that we needed to with, you know, whatever restrictions that needed to happen for us to be able to come and do this. And man, it was incredible to see the turnout. But I think what you said really was key. Is I think a lot of it was people hadn't raced as much, and everybody just wanted to get out and go do something. And when this opportunity presented itself, they all flocked here. And you know, it was pretty incredible to be a part of that, just from my standpoint in the booth. But you know, knowing what it took to put it on, and you know, everybody understood where we were at and what was going on. I think everybody tried to do all the things necessary to make it as safe as possible and such, and it was a great event.
Yeah, and we talked about earlier with Scotty how they upped the purse, right, from 25 to 3,000. Not only did they do that, but they added 7 more elite classes.
Yeah.
Chase, what is that as a driver? What does that mean when they go from only 3 elite classes in 2019 that were paying $2,500 to win, then they went to 10 in 2020, and they paid $3,000 to win. Not only that, but they added them in the junior classes as well. Junior 2 got one. I think Junior 1 actually had that one that year, and then Junior 3 had one as well.
You know, I mean, that's just huge. How you were saying the juniors got one. You know, I'm all for big money being thrown towards the adult side, but I feel like juniors, I mean, they spend about just as much money, like, and their parents obviously do.
I was going to say, how much money did you spend?
I didn't spend a dime, but, you know, the parents.
Spent a lot of your parents' money.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the parents spend a lot of money to come out here, and I feel like they should race for big money too, especially being on Pit Road TV. That's cool. The kids get TV time.
Yep.
But, man, when they told me that it was up for, you know, $500, it's going to be the first time race for $3,000, and I won one and finished second or third in the elite medium, and I cashed out with like like $8,000 weekend between podiums and stuff like that. Obviously not what Shay Chavis and all them that won every other elite stuff, you know, but
what do you do with $8,000?
He gives it to his parents.
Yeah, it goes right back into racing and buy them shiny things called tires.
Yeah, that's the other thing is, you know, obviously the big money is great, but in reality it costs a lot just to buy the tires and the chassis and all the things you load up, come here and spend the weekend.
I mean, Chase said earlier that they have 15 sets, and I bet that isn't even a quarter of the amount that some of these teams have. I bet, the Cartel, I bet they're bringing 45 sets this weekend.
Between the Cartel, MC Motorsports, they always, I was blessed to race for him earlier this year and walked in his trailer. I mean, he knew what every
right down the road in Tunica.
Yep, and it was just
the original build, or not the original, but the second building for this event.
Yeah, and it was he just knew where every tire was, and both sides of the trailer was loaded down. Not any more room for tires, so it's crazy.
One of the unique things about this event too, and Scotty alluded to it in the opening segment, was the fact that, you know, this event has a lot of sponsors that are outside of the karting industry. O'Reilly Auto Parts has been our title and presenting sponsor for, almost 20 years now, I think. Certainly over 15. I can't remember exactly what year they came on, but it's and the secret, I think, to that success is the fact that this event, You mentioned Pit Road TV. It's on Pit Road TV every year as a live stream. And, of course, then it's there for people to go back and watch. But over the years, this event has been on ESPN2. It's been on Speed Channel before that became FS1. It's been on Versus. It's been on a number of different, broadcast networks. We have a showcase on MAV TV. I mean, it's an event that gets a lot of FaceTime, across the world in different ways, and a lot of coverage, and that's the secret to the success for sponsors. And of course, one of the unique things that was put together for O'Reilly's is the fact that if you want to buy a pit pass for this event, you can go to any O'Reilly store and literally purchase your pit pass for a pre-event discount. It's a pretty big discount too, which, from a marketing standpoint, it's pure genius. Because what are you going to do while you're in O'Reilly buying your pit pass? You're probably going to buy something else, right? So O'Reilly loves it, gets foot traffic into the store, and of course it's the perfect tie-in for the event. You bring your certificate, your receipt here, and get your pit passes and all that, and you're good to go.
Yeah, and you talked about like cool things that they do here at this event. One of the coolest things is, and that it doesn't happen at any other race in the country, and it's the drivers' meeting.
Yes,
you get when you enter a class, you get a ticket for each. So Chase will get 10 tickets because he's got 10 classes that he's entering. That's 10 opportunities to win a goodie from they'll bring out a trailer, and it's got all kinds of gifts and stuff on it, and
famous trailer of prizes.
The famous teddy bear that everyone in this building wants. Everyone on this property right now wants that teddy bear tomorrow.
I missed about one ticket last year. I was very upset.
Which is fun, and that I should say that teddy bear was something that when you're James, it's a giant life-size teddy bear. And it's something that when your James started several years ago, and of course there's a number of other prizes. I mean, there's stuff for the go-karts, bodies, things like that. The grand prize is always a paid week's vacation to Dolphin Island.
I need that
right?
too.
I haven't won that one yet.
And there's a ton of prizes, and so if we call your winning ticket, you get to come down and pick out whatever you want. And the grand prize obviously is saved for last. But it's funny, as you mentioned, that of all of the practical things, tires and all that, prep, all of the practical things that are on the trailer, the teddy bear is one of the most popular.
Yeah, and not only that, but you get a gift bag when you enter a class. When you go into registration,
Yes.
you get a bag, and it's always got different stuff in it. It's mostly O'Reilly stuff. Like you'll get a pin, and you'll get a hat, and you'll get sometimes maybe a shirt or oil or whatever the sponsors are. They'll put some stuff in there, and it's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, again, all in the name of Lanier James and Shane James and Jam Promotions wanting to give as much back to the racers who come to the event and race as possible, and that's where the goodie bag came into being. There have been a number of different little, they had little clocks with the event name on it one year, the logo.
I got one.
You got one.
I got a clock.
I
yes.
got one too. I still got one, and so there's been all kinds of different things, but the idea is you have a lot of chances to walk away with money, walk away with a slot, but also walk away with some cool gifts.
Every racer in this arena is going to walk away with something when they go home.
Just about, yeah. Well, the bag for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's really an interesting and unique event, and it's an event that's evolved over the years. Scotty talked about it in the first segment. What you see behind us on the track, the interlocking barriers that line the outside of the track, you can see it in the shot. Those are huge because obviously we see a lot of indoor races where you're running into Jersey barriers, and those things don't give. The interlocking barriers have really increased the safety of the event, and we were the first major event. This event was the first major event in go-karting to use them. Chase, you've obviously, I'm sure, hit them a time or two. You bounce off and you kind of just get right back in it.
Yeah, I've had a couple instances like that, but I have been a go-kart here, and I'm actually racing that go-kart this weekend. It got better once we've been it, matter of fact. Don't know how that happened.
That happens once in a while, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm racing that go-kart, and then I've been some front end parts, but nothing major,
Yeah.
like you're saying. So it definitely helps. It's better than hitting just flat concrete.
For sure. Well, this has been a fantastic opportunity for us. We hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have. This is a show we're going to do much more of these remote location shows as we go forward into 2025. But this was a great opportunity to get out to a very unique event. Again, you will still have the opportunity, even though this show will air after the event's over. Go to pitroad.tv. You can still watch it. It is really quite the event. Every Thanksgiving weekend, it is the O'Reilly Auto Parts National Indoor Kart Championship, 34th annual this year. So we're already looking forward to next year. We haven't even thrown a green yet, but talking about some things that could be better yet in new and innovative for next year. For more great content, steeringwheelnation.com. Of course, our streaming page on PowerTube's platform. Just go to watchpowertubetv.com and look for the Steering Wheel Nation streaming page. And thanks again to TrackTune for being our sponsor. I'm Tom Baker. So long.